The Book of Judges paints a vivid picture of ancient Israel, a time marked by both spiritual highs and lows. Following the conquest of Canaan, the Israelites fell into cycles of disobedience, oppression, repentance, and deliverance. God raised up judges to deliver them from their enemies and guide them back to faithfulness. These judges weren't always perfect, but their stories offer valuable lessons. This era highlights the importance of adhering to God's covenant. The period of the judges was a turbulent time of testing and trial. Amidst the chaos, God's faithfulness remained constant. Tola, whose name means worm or crimson, emerged as a leader after the chaotic rule of Abimelech. He was from the tribe of Issachar, a tribe known more for its scholarly pursuits than its military prowess, yet Tola rose to the occasion, demonstrating that leadership can emerge from unexpected places. He judged Israel for 23 years, a testament to his wisdom and ability to maintain stability.
I resided in Shamir, a city in the mountainous region of Ephraim. From this strategic location, I administered justice and provided leadership to the Israelite tribes.
His long tenure suggests a period of relative peace and prosperity, a welcome respite after the turmoil of Abimelech's reign. The scriptures don't recount specific battles or dramatic events during Tola's time, indicating a period of consolidation and recovery. While the biblical account of Tola is brief, his leadership was clearly impactful. He provided stability and guidance during a crucial period in Israel's history. His story reminds us that even in times of peace, strong leadership is essential. Following Tola, Jair the Gileadite assumed the mantle of leadership. He judged Israel for 22 years, continuing the period of relative stability established by his predecessor.
I was a man of considerable wealth and influence, possessing 30 sons who rode on 30 donkeys and controlled 30 towns in Gilead. This detail highlights my status and the extent of my authority.
Jair's 30 sons, each riding a donkey, symbolized their privileged position and the reach of their father's influence. Donkeys, while not as prestigious as horses, were valuable assets in that era, used for transportation and as a sign of affluence. The fact that each son had his own donkey underscores the family's prosperity and their prominent standing within the community. The 30 towns under Jair's control, known as Havoth Jair, were located in the region of Gilead, east of the Jordan River. This territory was known for its fertile land and strategic importance. Jair's control over these towns suggests his administrative abilities and his capacity to maintain order and security within his jurisdiction. Following the relatively peaceful times under Tola and Jair, the Israelites once again fell into the familiar pattern of disobedience. They abandoned the worship of the one true God and turned to the gods of the surrounding nations. This spiritual infidelity led to a decline in their moral compass and a weakening of their national identity.
They forsook the covenant they had made with God and embraced the idolatrous practices of their neighbors. This turning away from God grieved the Lord deeply. He had delivered them from slavery in Egypt and brought them into the promised land, yet they continually chose to follow other gods.
Their idolatry was not simply a matter of religious practice, it represented a rejection of God's love and a betrayal of their relationship with Him. This spiritual unfaithfulness had dire consequences for the nation.
The consequences of their idolatry were swift and severe. The Lord withdrew His protection, leaving them vulnerable to their enemies. The Ammonites, a powerful nation to the east, began to oppress the Israelites, plundering their land and enslaving their people.
For 18 years, the Israelites suffered under the yoke of Ammonite oppression, a direct result of their disobedience. Section 5 of Jephthah, a mighty warrior with a tragic flaw.
Jephthah, a Gileadite warrior, emerges in this time of crisis.
He was a skilled and courageous fighter, known for his military prowess. However, he was also a man with a tragic flaw, a rash vow that would have devastating consequences. Despite his flaws, Jephthah was chosen by God to deliver the Israelites from the Ammonites.
Jephthah's early life was marked by rejection and hardship. He was the son of a prostitute and was driven away by his half-brothers.
He found refuge in the land of Tob, where he gathered a band of followers. Despite his difficult upbringing, Jephthah developed into a formidable warrior, earning a reputation for his strength and leadership.
When the Ammonites threatened Israel, the elders of Gilead sought Jephthah's help. Recognizing his military skills and leadership qualities, they offered him the position of commander.
Jephthah agreed, driven by a desire to deliver his people and perhaps also by a desire for acceptance and recognition. Section 6. Jephthah's vow and its devastating consequences.
Before going into battle against the Ammonites, Jephthah made a rash vow to the Lord.
He promised that if God granted him victory, he would offer as a burnt offering whatever came out of his house to meet him upon his return. This vow, made in a moment of desperation and perhaps arrogance, would have devastating consequences. Jephthah's vow reveals a flawed understanding of God's character. The Lord does not require human sacrifice, a practice expressly forbidden in Israelite law. Jephthah's eagerness to secure victory led him to make a reckless promise without considering the potential ramifications.
Upon his victorious return, Jephthah was met by his only daughter, coming out to greet him with music and dancing. This tragic turn of events plunged Jephthah into despair.
He had made a vow to the Lord, and in his understanding he was bound to fulfill it, even if it meant sacrificing his own daughter.
Following my victory over the Ammonites, I faced internal conflict within Israel. The Ephraimites, a powerful tribe, challenged my leadership and threatened war. They questioned why I had not called upon them for assistance in the battle against the Ammonites.
Jephthah responded by gathering his troops and engaging the Ephraimites in battle. The Gileadites, under Jephthah's command, emerged victorious. They used a shibboleth, a linguistic test, to identify and eliminate fleeing Ephraimites who could not pronounce the word correctly.
My judgeship, while marked by military success, was also marred by internal strife and the tragic consequence of my vow. My story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of rash decisions and the importance of considering the potential ramifications of our actions.
Despite his flaws, Jephthah is remembered as a deliverer of Israel. The stories of Tola, Jair, and Jephthah offer valuable lessons about faithfulness and obedience to God. Tola and Jair led during times of relative peace, demonstrating the importance of steady leadership in maintaining stability and prosperity. Jephthah's story, on the other hand, highlights the dangers of straying from God's commands and the tragic consequences of rash decisions. These judges, each in their own way, exemplify the importance of adhering to God's covenant. Tola and Jair, though briefly mentioned, maintained faithfulness during their tenure, ensuring stability and prosperity for Israel. Jephthah, despite his flaws, answered God's call to deliver his people, demonstrating the importance of courage and decisive action. Jephthah's tragic vow serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us to consider carefully the promises we make and to seek wisdom before acting impulsively. His story underscores the importance of understanding God's character and aligning our actions with his will. The Book of Judges reveals a recurring cycle of sin, oppression, repentance, and redemption. The Israelites repeatedly turned away from God, leading to periods of oppression by their enemies. However, in their distress, they would cry out to God for deliverance. God, in his mercy, would raise up judges to deliver them from their oppressors and restore them to a right relationship with him. This cycle highlights the enduring nature of God's love and his willingness to forgive even repeated acts of disobedience. The stories of Tola, Jair, and Jephthah fit within this larger narrative of sin and redemption. While Tola and Jair led during times of relative peace, their leadership helped prevent the Israelites from falling into the cycle of disobedience. Jephthah, though flawed, played a crucial role in delivering Israel from oppression, facilitating their return to God. The stories of these judges hold relevance for contemporary audiences. They remind us of the importance of standing firm in our faith, even amidst challenges and temptations. Just as the Israelites faced external enemies and internal struggles, we too face pressures that can lead us astray. The judges' examples encourage us to cultivate strong moral compasses, grounded in faith and obedience to God's principles. Their stories challenge us to examine our own lives and identify areas where we may have compromised our values or strayed from our beliefs. Just as the Israelites experienced the consequences of their choices, we too will reap what we sow. Our decisions have far-reaching implications not only for ourselves, but also for those around us. The judges' stories underscore the importance of making wise choices aligned with our faith.